number one comes straight and from my training and my experience and my practice from dialectical behavior therapy, and that's validation. Validation is a word that we hear a lot of, but I don't know that people have a firm grasp on it. I think it's often confused with praise. Praise is communicating to somebody that you like what they're doing. Very important parenting practice, but it's different than validation. Validation is communicating to someone, maybe your child, maybe your partner, maybe your parent, maybe a colleague, your boss, that you hear them, that you understand them, that you get their emotions and why they're feeling that way, that you get their thoughts, why they're thinking that way, and even you understand their behaviors. A key to validation is you don't necessarily have to agree with them to understand them. We're just communicating that I hear you and I get it. And that can be such a powerful tool to helping someone regulate. And what I mean by that is if somebody is really dysregulated and upset, and another person comes to them and validates them and expresses that I hear them, they will become more calm, more emotionally regulated. And in that moment, we're increasing the chances that that person can make an effective decision moving forward. All right. And so a really good example is what we talk about in DBT a lot, which is we don't necessarily always validate the behavior, but we might validate a feeling. So a teenager that doesn't study for a test, all right, we knew they didn't study for the test. We're pretty sure as parents that they weren't going to do well because this isn't their greatest subject. They come home and they're upset because they did inevitably get that bad grade. So I wouldn't validate and say, oh, it makes sense to me that you didn't study, right? I wouldn't validate that. But what I might say is, I get it. You're really, really upset because you got a bad grade. That class has really been difficult for you. I understand that you're upset. Right then and there, hopefully, that teen will feel heard. And if that teen feels heard, they'll be able to make a better decision next time about prepping for that test or how they're studying or how much they're going to study for that test. It can be a very, very powerful tool. When we invalidate somebody, it can send them to a more dysregulated place. So coming back to that example, the teen comes home and we say, well, you should have studied more. Or we say, why didn't you study? Or maybe we try to fix it, right? Maybe we say, next time I'll help you study. We should do note cards. I can help you now. Let's do it. That can also send them to a more dysregulated state, which means they're less likely to make a more effective decision. So validation can be a really, really important key to help folks kind of just get through that moment, that difficult moment. It is a very, very hard skill. And it's a hard skill because most of us don't like to sit with someone when they're really, really upset. So I have another resource. It's a great book. It's called The Rabbit Listened. It's by Corey Duerfeld. And it gives a great example of behavioral validation of just sitting with someone, just being with them when they're really not feeling well and helping them get through that difficult moment. And it can be a really, really powerful tool on teaching parents on how to validate. And I highly, highly recommend it.